One of the things, one of the stories that I enjoy the most from Scripture about change agency is that little girl whose name we don't know in 2 Kings chapter 5. She's the servant of Naaman's wife. And she's a slave girl. She's been abducted from Israel, and she's in Syria working as a slave. We don't know how old she is, but Scripture says she's a little girl. We don't know her name. We don't know anything about her. We do know that Naaman, big, important Syrian general, had leprosy. You'd think maybe that a little slave girl might be glad that her master has leprosy. Good, I hope it kills him tomorrow. She could have had a very bitter spirit, but that's not what we see. And the only thing we know about this little girl is what she said to Naaman's wife. She said, if only my master would see the prophet in Israel, his God can heal that leprosy. That's all she says. That's all she ever says. But we learn something about her just from that passage. One, we learn that she had a sensitive, sweet spirit. She wasn't bitter. She wasn't angry. She wasn't wishing the worst on her slave master. The other thing we know about her is that she knew enough about the faith to know that that prophet back in Israel, that God, his God, could heal leprosy. And so now as we read this story, we see all kinds of things happening. And I love the contrast between little and big and unimportant and important in this passage. You know, the little muddy Jordan River and our big rivers in Syria, and big important Naaman who comes down with all these obscene bits of wealth and that sort of thing, thinking he'll be received, and Elisha sends out a messenger instead of receiving. He's unimpressed with all of that pomp. And Naaman doesn't want to bathe in the dirty little Jordan. And his own people, his own entourage, tell him, look, if he had asked you to do something big and important, you would have done it. Why not just go and bathe? And so Naaman goes and bathes in the muddy Jordan River, and he comes up, the leprosy's gone. It says his skin is like that of a little boy. So once again, you see the big, important Naaman is now like a little boy. But the most important part of that passage, I think, comes in verse 15, where we see Naaman coming to the realization. He says, now I know that there's only one true God, and it's the God of Israel. Now I know there's only one true God, and it's the God of Israel. Think of this is what missions is all about. Getting people to say, now I know there's only one true God. That's what we seek to do anywhere we go. And because of the testimony of a little girl, whose name we don't know, God used that little girl. And, you know, think of what this prevented. Who knows what kind of wars might have been fought, battles fought and lost, people killed, but for the testimony of this little girl. So God used her as his agent.